5 years from now, there are only two reactions you'll have when you think about this version of yourself. Either you'll quietly say, I figured it out, I finally stopped spinning, or you'll feel that familiar drop in your stomach, realizing you're standing in the exact same place, asking the same questions, making the same promises. And here's the uncomfortable part. That difference doesn't come from luck, talent, or some viral breakthrough moment. It comes from one small, boring decision that happens when no one's watching. Not a course, not a motivational speech, not the app you downloaded with good intentions and never opened again. It's a choice so ordinary it feels harmless, but it quietly decides whether your life moves forward or stays on pause. Because this moment right here, the one you barely notice, might be the most expensive few minutes you pay for every single day. Every time you delay getting up, it's not just about rest. It's a trade you're making without realizing it. You're exchanging a few foggy minutes of comfort for momentum you don't get back later. Neuroscience backs this up. Your brain is most flexible and attentive shortly after waking, before the noise of the world starts pulling at it. That window is rare, and most people spend it half awake, scrolling, reacting, absorbing everyone else's priorities before they've even chosen their own. By the time the day officially starts, their focus is already fragmented, their energy already spent. Meanwhile, the people you assume are disciplined or different aren't doing anything mystical. They're just protecting that quiet stretch before life starts demanding things from them. Not because they love mornings, but because that time works differently. This isn't about turning yourself into a morning person or forcing discipline through gritted teeth. It's about understanding leverage. That early stretch of the day carries a psychological advantage most people never claim. There are no incoming messages yet, no expectations to perform, no background anxiety from everything you haven't responded to. Your nervous system is still relatively calm. Your attention isn't split 100 ways, and for a brief period, your mind can stay on one thing without effort. When that space disappears, it doesn't come back later in the same form. You can work at night, sure, but it costs more. More willpower, more recovery, more friction. Claiming even a single hour early isn't about working harder. It's about working when the resistance is lowest. What's happening in that first hour isn't just psychological, it's chemical. Your brain is coming online with a specific mix of neurotransmitters designed to move you from sleep into action. Dopamine is naturally higher, making focus feel easier. Cortisol rises just enough to sharpen attention, not to stress you out. In simple terms, your brain is more moldable right then, more likely to reinforce whatever patterns you feed it. If you immediately flood it with fast content notifications or low-stakes stimulation, you're training distraction at the deepest level. But if you use that same state to think, plan, write, or learn, you're strengthening circuits that support clarity and follow-through. It's like setting wet cement. What you step into first is what hardens. So no, this isn't about waking up at some heroic hour or copying someone else's routine. It's about what you actually do once you're awake. Start simple. Rehydrate because your brain has been running all night without refueling. Move your body just enough to remind your nervous system that the day has begun. A stretch, a short walk, a few minutes of motion. Then choose one clear target for the day, not a list, not a life overhaul. Just one meaningful action that moves something forward. After that, feed your mind something real. A few pages, a thoughtful conversation, a concept that expands instead of distracts. And during that time, protect your attention like it matters, because it does. That hour isn't flexible, it's foundational. Because this goes deeper than productivity. It's about identity. Every time you follow through on a small, intentional action, before the world starts pulling you apart, you're reinforcing a quiet belief about who you are. Not who you want to be, but who you actually show up as when there's no pressure and no applause. You're proving to yourself that you can act without being forced, that you don't need urgency or fear to move. And that matters more than motivation ever will. Over time, those small proofs stack. The version of you that used to hesitate starts to feel less real, and a steadier, more grounded version takes its place, one that trusts itself. If you add it up, the math is surprisingly simple. One intentional hour each day turns into hundreds of focused hours across a year. time that isn't fragmented or rushed, but actually usable. Spread over 5 years, that becomes a massive amount of practice, reflection, and progress that most people never accumulate because their effort is scattered. You're not cramming change into weekends or waiting for the perfect moment. You're building it quietly, consistently in the background of your life. And while others feel like they're constantly starting over, you're compounding something real: skill, clarity, self-trust. That's how lives change without drama. And here's the part most people miss. You won't feel this working at first. Tomorrow will feel ordinary. Next week too. There's no emotional fireworks, no instant confidence boost, no moment where everything suddenly clicks. But give it enough time, a few months of showing up in this quiet way, and something shifts. You start recognizing yourself again. You move with less resistance. Decisions feel clearer, not because life got easier, but because you're no longer fighting yourself all day. You're no longer waiting to be ready. You're already in motion. The next 5 years are coming whether you change anything or not. Time doesn't negotiate, and it doesn't slow down because you're unsure. One path keeps you looping in the same patterns, gathering more insight without movement, watching other people figure things out while you tell yourself you'll start soon. The other path is quieter and less dramatic, but it builds something solid underneath you. No big declarations, no reinvention. Just one small decision repeated enough times that it reshapes your life. So the question isn't whether you're capable. It's whether you're willing to stop postponing the moment you already understand. You don't need hype for this, and you don't need permission either. There's no audience, no countdown, no perfect morning waiting for you. There's just the next time you wake up, and the choice you make in that quiet space before the day takes over. You can give your best attention to noise and leave yourself whatever's left, or you can claim a small piece of time and let it slowly change how you live. Both futures arrive at the same speed. The only difference is who you become along the way. So that's the choice. Not between motivation and laziness, but between continuing on autopilot or interrupting the pattern you already recognize. No one's coming to tap you on the shoulder when it's time. If this resonated, let it sit with you. And when you're ready, take one small step that actually belongs to you. And if you want help understanding why you've been stuck and how to move without forcing yourself, you're in the right place. Just don't ignore the moment because it feels ordinary. That's usually where real change starts. This isn't about proving anything to anyone else. It's about not abandoning yourself in small, quiet moments anymore. If you're done repeating the same year with different intentions, stay here. This is what we do. We slow things down, understand the patterns, and move forward without burning ourselves out. You don't need to rush. You just need to stop drifting. And the next time that choice shows up, you'll know exactly why it matters. Because nothing changes all at once. It changes the moment you stop ignoring the signal. The moment you notice the pattern and choose differently, even slightly. That's how people get unstuck, not by becoming someone new overnight, but by finally working with themselves instead of against themselves. If you're here, you're already paying attention. Now it's just about what you do with that awareness. You don't need to overhaul your life tomorrow, and you don't need to wake up at some perfect hour to be worthy of change. What matters is that the next time you have a choice between numbing and engaging, you recognize it for what it is. A fork in the road that looks insignificant in the moment, but adds up over time. Most people miss it because they're waiting for something louder. You won't, because now you understand what's actually happening. So when that moment comes, and it will, remember, this isn't about discipline or willpower or becoming some optimized version of yourself. It's about awareness turning into action, gently, consistently. You don't need to be extreme. You just need to be present for the decision you used to make automatically. That's how the cycle breaks. Not with force, but with clarity. And maybe one day, without fanfare, you'll catch yourself living differently, responding instead of reacting, starting things instead of postponing them, trusting your own follow-through. It won't feel dramatic, but it will feel solid. And you'll realize the life you wanted didn't arrive all at once. It was built quietly, in moments exactly like this one. That's what Unstuck Nation is about. Not pushing harder, not fixing yourself, but understanding why you pause, why you loop, and how to move without turning your life into a fight. If you felt aware but still stuck, that doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human, and you're closer than you think. Stay with this. Pay attention. The next step won't be loud, but it will be yours. Because the truth is, progress rarely announces itself. It slips in quietly, disguised as a small choice made on an ordinary day. No one applauds it. No one notices it first. But those moments accumulate, and one day you look back and realize you didn't escape your old life in a single leap. You walked out of it step by step without drama. And that's how real change holds. So when you reach that point in the future and look back, it won't be confusing how you got there. You'll know it started with noticing one small moment you used to skip past and choosing to stay present instead. No reinvention, no dramatic turning point, just a quiet refusal to keep drifting. That's the difference between feeling stuck and actually moving. And it's available the next time you wake up. That's the invitation. Not to wake up earlier than everyone else, not to force a new identity, but to stop giving away the moments that quietly shape your days. You don't need to do this perfectly, and you don't need to feel ready. You just need to notice the choice when it appears and respond instead of defaulting. 5 years from now will arrive either way. The only real question is whether you'll recognize yourself when it does.